Jesus said in Matthew 5, verse 13 and 14, He said, "You are the salt of the earth. If salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house."
In 1993, we had no clue what God was doing. God had blessed the Salt Company, and I was the director of the student ministry, and it began to get larger than the local church. There began to be tension between the church and the student ministry, the traditional and the emerging new way of doing things. And so we began to have conversations. What would God do if we planted a church in Ames strategically to reach the campus and the next generation? Fear and faith go together. If you're not a little bit afraid of what God is asking you to do, then you probably not are stepping out in faith. And we were terrified.
You know, there's a little bit of, we were laying the rails as we went. And if Troy tells you anything different, we were making it up as we went at some point in time, you know, because none of us have ever done this before. But the first worship service of Cornerstone Church was very emotional for me. 100 plus students and then 25, 30 community members.
I just remember everybody had to load up and carry it and haul it in and set up and then tear down and take it all back out. And each week we did that.
You could not be a part of Cornerstone Church at that time without being committed to doing something, helping in some way. You know, Cornerstone started with men and women who were not only committed to God, but we were committed to one another.
So we started at Grand Avenue Baptist Church on Sunday evenings. Then we went to Benton Auditorium. When we outgrew Benton Auditorium, we were able to rent the old Ames Middle School. And as we moved from place to place, we just kept filling the places that we moved to. And in 1999, we did the biggest thing that we ever did. We were able to build what is now known as the South Auditorium. We went to 2 services immediately, then to 3 services, and then to 4 services, then to 5 services. And so that's when the vision for building the new auditorium began to emerge. So it's crazy how much intention that we had to never plant churches. In fact, we specifically stated that there is enough churches in our country. We don't need any more. And in 2009, one of my children received a scholarship to play basketball at the University of Iowa. We went there to help her find a healthy church in the place because we were convinced there were. And there wasn't a ministry like Salt Company in Iowa City. And it was in that moment that we decided we need to plant a church in Iowa City that would reach this community and would also reach the students. That was the birth of what now has become the Salt Network in our church planting efforts together. Now we have 14 Salt Companies. The 15th will be at University of Indiana in Bloomington. And I cannot wait to see what the next 20 to 25 years will produce. Because if it's anything like the past, there are some great things that are in store.
One thing that comes to mind on the 25th anniversary of Cornerstone is just deep thankfulness. Like, I'm so thankful for the people who laid a foundation that we now have the chance to continue to build on. I'm so thankful for Troy, for Jeff Dodge, for the leaders of Cornerstone, for the elders through the years. I'm so thankful for faithful connection group leaders and for 1,000 people who did the thing that seemed really ordinary, that God did something extraordinary through it. I think some people, some churches, when they get to 25 years in ministry, when they get to 25 years in a marriage, it's like you go through this reinvention phase, like a midlife crisis where we need to become something that we haven't been. And at Cornerstone, I think God's calling us to a fresh commitment to what he's already given us as a church. We want to be radically committed to the gospel, that what Jesus did animates all that we want to do. We want to be radically committed to gather as a church, to be a church family that loves one another authentically, and then to face outward as a church and look at the needs of Ames and the surrounding communities and say, how can we be a blessing? Our heart as a church is still to be a church for the next generation. We have the privilege to not only share the gospel of Jesus Christ with students through the SALT Company, but ultimately to send them out from Cornerstone to see churches planted all over the place.
For over 20 years now, that's been the thing that keeps us motivated, is that we've been strategically placed in this city that's basically half populated by college students. And so it seems only appropriate, and really just it's the responsible thing to do in a city like this, to say, hey, there is a huge mission field that replenishes every year, and so how could we not go after them?
So in Matthew chapter 5, Jesus describes his followers as people who are the salt of the earth. He says they're to be like a city that's set up on a hill that can't be hidden. And really, since Cornerstone Church has started, that's what we've wanted to be. We've wanted to be the salt of the earth, just ordinary people who met Jesus and were set free to live on mission for him.
You know, when I look back over now the 25 years of the life of Cornerstone Church, I'm amazed. Just a group of average people who are connected to an extraordinary God with the belief that he wants to use them to do extraordinary things.